Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today I wanted to talk about a plethora of articles about Star Citizen breaking the $700 million funding mark. And these articles often get things hugely wrong, but also include quotes from sort of Star Citizen refunds Reddit, which is like asking a vegan what they think about KFC. However, Star Citizen actually has raised a lot more than $700 million. So I was going to say $700. It's a lot more than that. They've got a lot more from that just from me. But also the media are really softening on Star Citizen more and more and more, as is the wider sort of population of gamers. They're starting to mention Star Citizen at 1.0 as like an actual thing that's in the future. And yeah, let me talk about some of these articles, because they are very erratic in there, going quite hard and then soft on Star Citizen. So Star Citizen pushes through the $700 million raised mark, and no, there still isn't a release date. Star Citizen now raised over $700 million according to figures from the developer Cloud Imperium Games. The developer behind the controversial space sim makes revenue publicly available on its website, so it just basically goes over their funds being over $701 million according to that. This is from IGN, by the way. CIG even breaks down revenue by recent months, weeks and hours. It recently made $1.5 million in a day. It then goes on to say, Star Citizen is considered one of the most controversial projects in all video games over the 12 years since its crowdfunding drive began. It's been called many things, including a scam, by those who wonder whether it will ever properly launch. Its virtual spaceships, some of which cost hundreds of dollars, are often the focus of criticism. Hundreds? That's baby numbers. Thousands, yes, that's Javelin 3000. But then it all actually starts talking about Alpha 3.23 launching, and Cloud Imperium moving towards the release of 4.0, and Squadron 42 being all developed and being pushed out at an accelerated rate, building up to Star Citizen 1.0, which Chris Roberts has said is what we consider the features and content set to represent commercial release. However, there's still no release date or even a release window for Star Citizen 1.0. CIG will share the roadmap later this year, it has said. PC Games Network had an article, Star Citizen officially has more money than you and everyone you know. An amazing title. Space is expensive, but Star Citizen has taken that to extremes, hitting a huge milestone with how much money it has managed to pull in. Some games become famous for their ambition, for their gameplay, for offering a different perspective. Some games become famous for a lack of all of the above. Other games, however, become famous for things that have nothing to do with the quality of their game. Star Citizen is one of those, being known more for the swirling of crowdfunding around it rather than the actual game itself. Well, I'm not about to change that, as I'm here to report that it's just passed another colossal money milestone. The article goes on the same lines as the previous article then, pretty much using exactly the same information, slightly reworded but pretty much copy-pasted. And then there's actually they made $3 million in one day reference, and then they start talking about Fleet Week, and you can actually try Star Citizen for free, and they've got links and all that sort of jazz there as well. So they are promoting it, and they are showing off some of Star Citizen's videos and things throughout this article. Loads of other articles are basically just Star Citizen raises $700 million in 12 years, still no release date. I do see articles, like I saw one from The Gamer, which references stuff that I've never even heard of. Part of the article, it says, Star Citizen has no release date, although fans can still play an early access build. The standard edition is listed for $51.48, going up to $85.79 with the premium release. I don't know what Matt's referencing. You can buy Star Citizen for $45, or you can spend as much infinite money on it. The premium edition is infinite money. Some of these articles talk about people from r/games on Reddit, or often r/Star Citizen refunds, where people just absolutely despise Star Citizen typically, or have very, very, very strong anti-Star Citizen opinions that it is just a scam. And to be fair, that's not everyone there. Some people were looking to get a refund. And across the internet, obviously, lots of people have very reasonable opinions. But I do find lots of mistakes in these articles. Like one was talking about $600,000 being raised last year. They made $600 million, and then they said they made $100,000 in a year. And I was like, well, they made over $100 million in a year. lots of these articles reference things like very expensive ship packages, like $48,000 plus dollar ship bundles and that sort of stuff. Yes, there are some incredibly expensive bundles, and Star Citizen's monetization model is one of you can literally spend as much money as you want on buying as many ships to help support the game. Now, that's typically, if someone's buying those packages, I'm assuming they either have a huge amount of personal wealth or they're buying it for a whole organization or something, but I'm not about to tell people how to spend their money. It's just something I wouldn't do because I'd buy another house. But all these articles do also say Star Citizen is getting a lot better, it's a lot more playable, more people are playing it, and it's sort of pushing towards Star Citizen version 4.0 alpha and 1.0 and the release of Squadron 42, and a lot of them say when the game launches it's going to be available to play on PC. It's not like if it launches or anything like that anymore. It is sort of being softened more and more in the sort of eyes of the media, where they are talking about it like it's a real game, and people have problems with it. The media have problems with it. It is very unique in the way it does its funding, and there are problems with that funding model. It can look very predatory, and there is FOMO and sort of artificial scarcity associated with it. I saw loads and loads of articles referencing it's made 700 million, but then just talking about how the game is developed with 3.23 and Fleet Week and all the sort of new stuff that's coming, hopefully later this year with 4.0. There are often just big errors or confusions by the media as well. So they talk about Alpha 4.0 next to be released. Players could get to experience 2 new vehicles in this upcoming version, along with functional fire extinguishers and a multi-tool. The update is hugely more expansive than that, with a whole new star system, jump points, engineering gameplay. There's probably going to be a load more vehicles than 2. We know there's going to be fires. We're not sure if the fire extinguishers are going to be... There's supposed to be fire extinguishers there. I think that was some of the least important bits. But you can expect to see loads of Star Citizen has surpassed X dollars. Basically every 100 million that they make, it will be Star Citizen has surpassed $800 million, $900 million, $1 billion, and still has no release date until it's released. That's the articles you're going to get. However, as I said, lots of sort of softening opinions on Star Citizen and lots of promotion of it. And there's lots of bigger streamers and YouTubers starting to check out Star Citizen more and more, making it a little more mainstream as they've had a load of fun. Now, obviously, there's big bugs and issues they encounter too and criticisms, but it's getting more and more playable by their fan bases, and they are going, look, it's playable and pretty. It's much better than they expected. Everyone's starting to mention Star Citizen 1.0, but obviously we've got 4.0 and Squadron 42 turning up pretty soon, but there is a problem with no release dates. That is true. However, Star Citizen, very playable. Every quarter or so, they release a major update, and those major updates are getting pretty packed now. Also, I wanted to say about these articles that the $700 million funding mark does not take into account sort of subscriptions, other income, sponsorships, and private investment that Cloud Imperium has got. So actually, it's closer to, at this time, around 771 million at the end of 2023. That's the sort of figure they were at anyway. And if you then include 5 months of funding, which is around 44 million for 2024, and the 63.25 million of private investment that the Calder brothers put in, that's in total around 886 million of funding that Star Citizen has received. And CIG have been spending that money as well. It's not just sitting in their bank accounts or anything. They've been putting that into a load of devs and offices around the world. I think there are over 1,200 devs now. They've got offices in Manchester, UK, in Montreal, Canada, a couple in the US, in LA and Texas, and another one in Frankfurt, Germany. I think they've got around $65 million in their bank account. That's roughly what you can tell from their financials that they put out every year. But they've been spending that money effectively on building 2 games, the Star Citizen MMO and a single-player game, Squadron 42. They're also building themselves up to be able to then work on Squadron 42 Episode 2 and 3, 2 separate AAA games is the idea, and support their MMO for over a decade. I'm hoping for a couple of decades. Let's wait and see. I did check out some other people's videos on this as well, so at least Montoya's, and he was talking about PUBG making $8.1 million a day at some points, and Grand Theft Auto 6's budget being estimated at around $2 billion, including marketing, because I do think Star Citizen is going to be hitting over $1 billion in funding. But when you have the perspective of, well, actually some games make huge amounts more money, and mobile games market is ridiculous, and GTA 6 is $2 billion from a studio that's already been fully built, it's just a really interesting sort of increase of perspective, right, and point of view. It's also an interesting conversation of, do you consider Star Citizen, as it is playable now, released to some extent? That's the other thing, right? Because it is playable, people wouldn't be able to play it. A lot of people say, well, the game's not released. A lot of people assume you can't actually play Star Citizen. People that haven't seen Star Citizen, whatever. Now, obviously it's not a commercial release or anything like that, but it is playable and has been supported and is getting more and more and more playable, right? And some people love it for that. Some people just want to play the final product. But Star Citizen, Squadron 42 will be a final product. Star Citizen will keep on evolving the MMO. They're going to support it for many, many years and add loads more stuff beyond version 1. And 1.0 I do expect to be a minimum viable product. And so that means it's going to only have like, half a dozen star systems. It's only going to have some of these alien worlds, and there's not going to be all of the missions that they've got planned for the future, and there's going to be loads more events and stuff like that they'll build up, and loads more additional space station building, and it might not have the full-on base building stuff, and there's loads of features and other stuff that will be coming to Star Citizen well beyond its release, is what I'm saying. I do wish the articles did a little tiny bit more research and didn't copy-paste each other so much, but the irony is obviously, and the hypocrisy, is I literally do that for Star Citizen. I report on their news. Anyway, I'm really interested to know what you think about Star Citizen breaking the $886 million mark. Do you see Star Citizen being a bit more mainstream and more people trying it? Do you think that this is going to be another record-breaking year from CIG? Because previous to sort of Fleet Week, it looks like they were about 20% down year on year for 2024. But after Fleet Week, it looks like they had the most successful Fleet Week ever, funding-wise. And they're about a couple of percent off on level of the previous year, and it looks like they might be going to smash it around CitizenCon and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo in October and November respectively. But yeah, I just want to know your sort of feelings on this sort of stuff and the way the media reports on it. Are you loving Star Citizen? Are you hating Star Citizen? Are you waiting to get Star Citizen when it's a bit more fully playable, a version 1 release, or Squadron 42? Or are you terrified that it's going to be super play to win? Have you got a $45 ship? Have you spent thousands and thousands of dollars? Whatever your thoughts or questions, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Also, I think you should check out Beam. There are links below to it, and basically it turns your webcam into an eye tracker, which is totally usable in Star Citizen. You got Toby, which is your sort of more premium option if you want a piece of hardware to do it. Does it more precisely, does head tracking and eye tracking really, really well, and is natively supported in Star Citizen. We also got Beam if you want to sort of test out that experience. There's links below to both of them. We've also got NordVPN, which is the best darn VPN that I've ever talked about today, and it is going to give you better security and privacy and accessibility on the interwebs, and you should go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. Links below to that. It helps support the channel. Thank you so much for listening to the end. Sorry about the huge ramble, but sometimes I like to have a bit of a ramble. May in Star Citizen is about fleets and Fleet Week and flying with friends, and we've partnered up with Lunar Wolves, a Star Citizen org, to give away a fleet of ships. Commenting on any of my videos during the month not only gets you a chance to win a Spirit C1, but also a Constellation Andromeda, a Vanguard Sentinel, and a Corsair, courtesy of Lunar Wolves. They'll each be going out to a different winner chosen randomly from the video comments. But wait, there is more. Sign up to the Lunar Wolves recruitment page, link down below, for a chance for even more ships, including an RSI Polaris with lifetime insurance and a Hornet F7C Mark II. Winners of those will be selected randomly from eligible org signups. Lunar Wolves welcome all that share their passion for adventure and love of Star Citizen. You can learn more about them on their org page or at lunarwolves.org. If you would like to further support our channel, please like, subscribe, comment, share these videos. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, and I would love you to, please consider becoming a Patreon or clicking that join button under my videos. It goes a huge way in allowing us to make daily content and keep the channel going. You'll get some exclusive content from that as well, anytime Zin and I can actually put it out, as well as help evolve the channel with polls and suggestions and that sort of stuff. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and have a great May. It's going to be a good one.